At JCCC, we got started with doing sustainability work, partially in being inspired by the League for Innovation. The League for Innovation held a sustainability summit at Lane Community College up in Oregon. A few of us were sent there. Came back along with some other members of the college staff and convinced our president at the time that we needed to be doing this work broadly defined, and thankfully we found support on campus to begin doing the work. So it started off with inspiration, and then we got administrative support to create an office, the Center for Sustainability, of which I've been the executive director since 2009. We also had a grassroots effort with committees divvied up to subject areas like recycling and energy to propose ideas for the campus. And then our students certainly got involved as well by asking for the creation of a green fee, what we call the Sustainability Initiatives Fund, which provides funding for sustainability projects, including some pretty innovative projects like our first LED lighting on campus, as well as a solar feasibility study. And then over time, the rest of campus has worked with the Center for Sustainability and vice versa in a variety of ways, so that I hope now that we are seen as a model of collaboration on campus that can provide support and ideas and occasionally funding that would allow areas around campus to solve problems they have, to work on issues they're concerned about, but at the same time deal with sustainability issues broadly defined, which of course is the purview of the Center for Sustainability. At the end of the day, Johnson County Community College is a full service community college. Our students on both the Gen Ed side and Career Tech sides of the house are why we exist. And so we believe in the Center for Sustainability that it's very important for our students to be being exposed to sustainability concepts broadly defined in a variety of courses, not just courses with sustainability prefixes or the word green somewhere in a course title. From a very early period in the Center for Sustainability's history, we emulated a couple of curriculum enhancement projects that were taking place at other colleges around the country. We call ours the Sunflower Project because we're in Kansas and, well, sunflowers. And what we do is we find faculty who are interested in talking about sustainability issues, and we encourage them to integrate modules into their classes that deal with those topics. And we have expertise in a variety of topics on my staff, and so we work with those faculty to integrate this material. We provide professional development dollars. We occasionally provide dollars for conference attendance. We can bring in speakers to ensure that students in a wide variety of classes have a chance to talk about issues like food systems, or why transportation systems work the way they work or sometimes don't work. For example, in a Spanish class. Spanish is a topic that you might not necessarily automatically think would be right for integration of sustainability topics. But we had one adjunct who had a learning outcome where students had to look at technical language sources in Spanish. And so what that professor did was have those technical sources be about the energy mix in Latin American countries. Thus, students were learning about sustainability broadly defined while still studying Spanish and satisfying a learning outcome in that class. Since we've begun the Sustainability Enhancement Project here, we've had over 60,000 students go through courses in which we've had faculty work with our office. 60,000 students. We have many students who are interested in making the world a better place. We call that turning their careers into callings. And so we work with folks in construction management, in HVAC, in accounting, for example, to help integrate sustainability content. We have one accounting instructor who noticed that her accounting textbook now has a chapter on sustainability metrics, including greenhouse gas emissions. And so we use our data that we gather on our campus in her class. And then we're able to turn the campus into a learning lab for sustainability. So when we're doing capital projects which reduce our energy usage or put renewables on the roof, we're also providing data sets for our students to use in the classroom. The Student Sustainability Committee is the group that administers the Sustainability Initiatives Fund. And this fund allows us to invest in some technologies or ideas that the rest of the campus might not quite be ready for. For example, the first integration of LED lights on campus came from the Student Sustainability Committee wanting to put out a pilot project to that effect. The SSC funded a feasibility study to see how feasible it would be to put solar on our rooftops at scale here on campus, and discovered that we could have a 12 or 13-year payback period for systems that are going to last 25 to 30 years. And presented with those kind of numbers and the resultant CO2 emissions that would come from having 10 or 15% of our energy produced on campus by renewable means, the college administration began allocating significant capital dollars to doing 1 or 2 campus roofs per year with solar on them, and that's all based upon the students' willingness to put their money where their concerns about their future are. Johnson County Community College's approach to sustainability has benefited the entire campus in a variety of ways. Curriculum enhancement is one very important way. But another way embraced by everyone all across campus is the energy savings brought to the campus. Over the course of what we call our Power Switch project, where we've reduced energy usage and then switched to renewables, including solar power, we've avoided over $8 million in energy costs. We also have been able to turn certain parts of campus into learning labs, like, for example, the Open Petal Farm, which is where our sustainable agriculture program teaches students how to grow food for restaurants and farmers markets in ways that are not chemically intensive and actually returns nutrients to the soil as opposed to just taking nutrients out. Also here on campus, we use our composting system on the west side of campus to take food waste from our dining services operations and provide that organic matter, which improves our yields out at the Open Petal Farm. And I think by having people on campus understand that we are trying to take waste and turn it into a resource, whether it be our composting becoming a resource for our farm, or our recycling program, which has raised over $250,000 for student scholarships, I think it just gets people on campus thinking about materials management in a new way and trying to find ways to turn waste into a valuable resource for the college. We also have been able to turn the College Steward Learning Lab for students and volunteers through our bird strike study. Crystal Antone on my staff, who is a fervent lover of all things wild, was able to marshal support all across campus to do a very robust study of where birds were hitting windows on campus. Glass windows are menaces to birds no matter where they are, and certainly on this campus that's no exception. And the data gave us the ability to triage treatments for certain windows, and thus reduce bird strikes on our campus by half. And we're also very happy to note that we've been consulted by universities all across North America to check the methodology on our study and also the relatively low-cost interventions that we've been able to put on our windows. Another example of collaboration between the Center for Sustainability and other areas of campus is the partnership that we've had with the Arts Education Program and the Midwest Trust Center more generally. We've partnered with a hip-hop artist named Joey Feinreim, who does hip-hop work over recycling, climate change, with the goal of empowering students in the public schools to understand they can be the change. So we've had hundreds upon hundreds of students either take part in these programs in person in the Midwest Trust Center or over the course of the pandemic through Zoom. And it's just an example of us trying to find ways of encouraging people to think about the future in a positive way, not just in a negative one. We have students who come to us here at Johnson County Community College, and this is true of higher education across the board, with a real sense of skepticism and despair about their future. There's national data which suggests that only 20% of young Americans believe that the political system of the country is capable of solving real problems like climate change. And so what we try to do here at the Center for Sustainability, and we get people across campus to help us with, is show students there are ways forward. There's hope. There are ways that students can actually be important contributors to a world which is more sustainable over the long term for our students, kids, and grandkids. We know this not only from the anecdotal data that we gather, but also from our Noel Levitz results, which show us that students here are concerned about recycling, they're concerned about climate change, they're proud about attending a college that privileges sustainability, they're proud to come to a campus that is supporting student basic needs in new ways, that has support for public transportation. Our Noel Levitz scores are about as high as student support and love for things like the library and faculty. Those scores have shown increasing student interest in these issues. We also try to give students very hands-on ways of being part of the solution by having numerous internships. both on the college farm and in our office, as students learn how materials flow across campus, how waste is generated, and how that waste can be turned through recycling and composting into a valuable resource for our campus farm and dollars going into student scholarships. In terms of future innovation here for the Center for Sustainability, on the facility side, we'll be investigating pushing the envelope on energy efficiency and renewables. By that, we're talking about things like microgrids, in which individual buildings are able to take and put energy back on the grid depending on usage at any given moment. We've also just signed an agreement with our utility, Evergy, which ensures that all the electricity that we use here on campus is actually carbon-free. As a result, we are going to be able to hit our carbon neutral goal as a campus decades ahead of our original goal. Most importantly, we are going to push the message of hope and reminding ourselves that we're here for our students, and our students have deep concerns about their future, and showing them ways that they can make the future a better place for themselves and the planet and their children. But at the end of the day, I think keeping hope as the main goal of what we're trying to get students to think about and believe is possible is the most innovative thing that we can do.